I'm excited. It feels good.
Good. Yeah, it looks amazing. I love that blue accent.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. How's it going, Kat?
It has been a crazy week, but it's getting better.
Oh, I'm sure. Did you
We
have
had, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, we had a tornado hit my town on Tuesday. Luckily, our house was okay. We just were out power for a couple days, but it's been crazy around here.
My goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. How are some of your friends and family in the area?
Everyone's good. Luckily, from what I've heard, there haven't been any casualties and not a lot of injuries, but like my parents lost their carport. It fell into their car, so their car is quite damaged.
No.
Luckily, their roof doesn't have too much damage or the rest of the house, but I mean, some of these houses were just totally taken out. And so close, like it missed us by like probably less than a tenth of a mile. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank God that you guys are okay and nothing happened to your home.
Mhm.
That
We've
is
never had a tornado before. I mean, we're in an area with hurricanes pretty frequently. I've lived through several hurricanes, but we've never had a tornado come through like this. I think it was like a F3, so it was, yeah, it was bad.
Wow, so no one was prepared, I imagine.
Not at all.
Where do you live again?
Southeast Houston.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that that happened, but I'm glad you're okay.
Yes, very grateful that it wasn't worse than it was for us.
Are there still like is there accessibility to things like the grocery store or gas station, stuff like that?
Yeah, luckily our like major grocery store in the area, and I don't even think they ever like lost power. If they did, they have some crazy generators and got it back up fast. But a lot of, I mean, some of the gas stations and stuff are still out, but for a majority of them are accessible.
Wow.
And the
Wow.
community, it's been really neat seeing the community come together and like take care of each other.
That is one of the most amazing parts about disasters, whether natural or human or horrible traumatic events. When the
Hmm.
community comes together and you're like, wait, we actually all really care about each other. It's not just wake up, go to work, go to the gym, go to the gas station, go home and ignore each other.
Right. Right. It's been
I
really
love
neat.
that. That's awesome. Did you happen to reach out to Adam yet?
I have not, and I was just thinking about that today because I saw your email with the pictures, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, I need to email him." That is
Yeah.
on my to-do list for sure.
Awesome. I was curious. I just had a call with him the other day and I mentioned to him that you would probably be reaching out if you hadn't.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely have that on my to-do list.
Yay. Okay, cool.
I'm
And
excited for it.
you'll have to let us know how it goes because he fixed my period, my hormones, everything just from looking at a lab review.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm super excited to see it.
Yeah,
I always love getting lab work done. So
yeah, and it's great that he's covering it because then if it's you can schedule it where you want it to be with conjunction to any of your goals.
exactly.
Amazing. Well,
Thank
I
you.
don't know if Christina's able to hear us, but it is her birthday.
Yay!
So yeah, happy birthday, Christina.
Happy
Christina,
birthday.
are you
Thank
able to talk? Yay, you are.
Yes.
I'm gonna put birthday queen next to your name. How you feeling? What'd you do today after all? I know you had some different plans with Jeff making things at home, but I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I sang at church this morning because I was on for worship band today. So I
Oh,
sang, and
love
only
that.
first it was my birthday, and I brought birthday donuts, but I
Yeah.
didn't. And it was my birthday because I don't want the attention on me, honestly. I mean, I'm not ashamed of my birthday and how old I am.
Oh,
It's
let me
just
change your
like,
name again.
um, and then after worship team, I went to the gym and trained, and then came home and did my cardio. And then worked for a couple of hours, and Jeff made a wonderful dinner. We had beef tenderloin and fish and baked potatoes, and then he ended up getting cookie cake. So I
Oh,
cookie
he
cake
did.
and so it was yummy.
Of course. That's so sweet. I'm glad he followed through on that for you.
Yeah, I would have been good with anything, but it's always sweet when he got me cookie cake.
I know that's because you were super sweet and awesome. And Christina was also at the podcast party in Cats. We got 2 people here who are at the podcast party, which is awesome. Then we have Trish and Manu, both who are at the Denver event. So it's just really cool to see like how the events bring us together. And Madeline, I enjoyed our conversation the other day. I'm not sure if you can chime in, but it's great to see you on, or see your name on here anyway. So I have some things planned for you guys. Now, I kind of am glad it's a little small group. I had no idea what to expect, to be honest, because of all the events we've done. And I had been giving away like a month of free access to people for the on-demand platform if they wanted to try it out, including like these group calls. So you might see some people trickle in like next month too on our calls. But you guys, I'm just grateful you're here. Before I get into what I wanted to share, was there anything that you guys had on your mind or something you wanted some support with?
I've been having a lot of like special things like birthdays and celebrations and events, and it's just hard. And it's not just like a dinner, it's like a weekend. My sister likes to celebrate her birthday over the weekend, and then my niece's birthday weekend is coming up. So it's not just a one-shot thing, it's like extended, which is so hard.
What is hard about it for you? Like what parts specifically?
Well, if it was one thing, I could deal better, but just the fact that it's multiple things, it's harder. So for Catherine's birthday on Sunday, it's going to be brunch and then an afternoon something and then dinner. And all of the things are tempting, like Original Pancake House is breakfast, and then movie with popcorn, and then spaghetti and meatballs. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
All her favorite things, I'm assuming.
Yes. So it just is challenging. And I know I can make all of it work. But the temptation is real.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think that is the hardest part. Like anytime you're in a diet protocol, like right now I'm doing a mini cut / gut protocol that's very restrictive. And, you know, being around different options or foods, like you want to have them or take a bite. And usually in a lifestyle program, you should be able to enjoy some. So I think in that situation for you, it's like, make sure you set your intentions for what would make you feel your best after. Like maybe it's like splitting a pancake with someone, or maybe it's skipping out on the popcorn because it doesn't sound good, but maybe it does, and having the spaghetti, but making sure to prioritize the proteins. Like you said, you can make it work. You've proven to yourself that's possible. But I know that temptation can still be there. So trying to even just allow yourself to have a bite or even have a plate if you want.
Yeah. I was thinking like I could do some zucchini noodles mixed with pasta, just to cut down on the pasta, and I can do eggs with some pancake instead of just pancakes. So it's doable, but it's just still, I want all the pancakes and all the pasta.
I know.
Yeah.
When I was in Vegas, I was like, so I don't think I can fit a hash house, a go-go pancake in my macros, but I'll have a few bites. So I get that. I really do. But I love your plan. I think it's hard with back-to-back events or birthdays or celebrations. And sometimes it's like, if you know they're coming, it makes it easier because you're like, oh, well, they're going to want this. But when it's you don't know it's coming or what to expect, it's a little harder to prioritize those choices. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. I also think too, like with birthdays and celebrations and stuff, most people are so distracted, they don't pay attention to what you're having. They just love that you're there and present. So that's something I've noticed anyways, is you could ask people, hey, you remember what I ate at the party last year? No one's gonna remember. But at the same time, enjoy it for sure. Of course, if it's 5 weekends out of the month, you're gonna probably have your weight maintain or go up. And if you're willing to have that for a month, that's okay. If you weren't gonna track it or try to make it fit or work. But you have really embodied the lifestyle, Trish, which is so awesome. Even just the way you broke that down and you're thinking about it, I'm like, yes, like the proteins and the zucchini noodles with it. I was like, that's awesome. And accepting the temptation will be there, but knowing it doesn't control you. Awesome. Okay, anything else? What's up, Gracie? By the way, I don't know if you're at work or doing cardio, but I do want to, actually, I think you're taking a break from work.
No, I'm actually
That's a work shirt.
So sneaking away in the women's locker room to try to listen in a little bit.
I gave your Instagram to one of my clients. Did she reach out to you?
She did. So I started chatting with her about just the fire department and all of that. So, and then also how to make the fire department work with prepping, which is a whole other thing. So.
Yes. I was like, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about that lifestyle. So talk to Gracie and talk to Rachel.
Yeah, I'm starting prep February 1st. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's been a long but productive year off. So.
I seen your videos. You looking swole.
I'm trying, but yeah, at this point, we're like, maybe I got a little too swole for the division. So we're going to find out.
At least that is a way better problem than continuously being told you're too small, because you can like not pose it. You can pose it differently. And I think you'll do amazing.
That's true. Thank you. I'm excited. It's been hard because like I did a whole month of like a pre-prep, and like I was like fully about it the first week. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to treat this like prep. And then I kind of started just like easing off the motivation and taking a bite of this and a taste of whatever. And it's like, man, like I need to like get my mindset right. Cause like, of course, none of us are perfect, but like for a whole year, I said I wanted to do this prep. Right. So now we're here and it's like, okay, do you want to do this or not? So it's just a refocus thing.
That's a really great perspective. Like, okay, if I just spent this whole year dreaming about when I could prep again, then I better be excited that I actually made it here. And it probably went by really fast when you look at it in retrospect.
It did. I had so many life goals going on, and, spending that time just like building and being able to eat whatever. And I didn't go crazy, but just kind of like enjoying the life things was awesome. So it's exciting to be back on a prep or whatever, but like this time around, like with all the work we've been doing on the mindset stuff, like I don't want to lose sight of that, because like last time my mindset didn't go to really a healthy place, and I think that's why coming out of it I started picking up like binge eating habits and all this stuff. So this time I'm like gonna go into it with like, yeah, it's restrictive but for a purpose and for a season, not the kind of mindset that I had last time. So that's the new.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's going to help the transition feel smoother too. And those pre-preps are always so interesting for the mind, because you're like, I am in prep, but I'm not in prep, and I don't want to commit fully to the prep. And similarly, like Kat was saying, she's feeling this way with her reverse. I think it's relatable too. When you're like reversing, you're like, well, I can have a bit more freedom, but I also need to be strict. And I kind of miss prep, or I wish I was, yeah.
Yeah. And this is my first time prepping fully on macros too. So there's, I feel comfortable with macros now, but it's a change. So it'll be exciting and just new challenges. But instead of thinking about how hard it's going to be, I'm just focusing on like, okay, it's a new type of challenge. Like this will be interesting.
Yes, I love that perspective. It's like, what is this challenge going to bring me from an experience and as an athlete, which is awesome. And have you picked out or maybe kind of decided how you're going to be focused on your mindset, or maybe like tools or things you're going to be using?
I think a big thing for me is continuing with the journaling, like my intentions for everything. And then when I have to say no to a food, for example, because it's different in prep, right? There's times where you like, no, I'm not gonna have the cake, right? Instead of having that mindset that like I had last time around where I was like, no, I can't have that, and oh, poor me. This time around, like I want to have a mindset that where we talked about like I could have that, but it doesn't meet my goals, and therefore I'm deciding not to. So putting decision into it instead of just like stopping the craving, because the craving's going to be there and it's okay. So just kind of, I guess, accepting that. And then this time around, like, of course, my body's going to be changing and I'll be doing check-ins and all this stuff, but like, I don't want to like obsess over like the body checking in the mirror and any of that stuff. So that this time it's more just like, just keeping it simple, just like trusting the process and not overthinking it, you know?
Absolutely. I love that. You've identified some of those red flag behaviors from your past that now you're going to work preventatively against to support you in coming out post show and in making the most of this prep. So do you have a show in mind?
Well, we haven't really picked a show yet because we're just going to see like, you know, how my body's going to respond to everything. But we're looking at probably June or July, and then hopefully local in like the DC area. Because last time I had to travel across the country, which wasn't great. And I'm like, why am I doing that for an amateur show? So hopefully this time something that's local, like a little bit less stress. But I mean, obviously I'm going from a previous different federation to the NPC. So I know that the level of competition is going to be a lot higher. And you know, I personally am still a natural athlete, so I know it's going to be a new challenge, but I'm not going to let that get to my head or let me make any excuses, right? Like, oh, well, it's, you know, easy for like, I'm not going to do any of that. So.
Heck yes. I love that. It's like we choose to participate in a sport like this. And if we choose to participate in a non-drug tested league, we have to accept that like comes with us standing next to those who are, and that's okay. It's like if you enjoyed it and that's the league you want to be in, then that's what matters. Anyone else in prep mode? No, Trish, you're like, no, not me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Are you settled?
I am in my new place. It's still messy. I'm still trying to unpack my life in crazy boxes. So
literally
wasn't the most organized move, but so every box is a mystery of what's in it. So,
that's awesome. It's like a surprise every day.
yeah. So I was like, oh, there they are.
The worst though is you'll find it after you needed it. You go and buy a new can opener. Then you're like, oh, shoot, there it is.
Yeah, I've got some duplicates going on right now.
I'm sure. Well, that's so great to see you more settled, and I'm happy for you. And are you still working with Adam right now, or are you taking the
Yes, still working with Adam. He's my biggest cheerleader, thank God. Because I've had some hormonal issues, just all the stress and everything. I tried some hormone, estrogen and progesterone, and my body said, hell no. So I gained, I think, 14 pounds in 3 weeks. And I got weird patches of rash on my elbows and on my weird places. It was crazy. I see someone else is shaking their head. I'm like, oh, thank God somebody's affirming this, that I'm not crazy. So yeah, so it was really bad. My emotions were, and I've had enough drama, so I did not need mood swings. And so I kept talking with Adam, and he was like, I think it's your hormone therapy that you're, you know. So once I got to like 14 pounds after 3 weeks, and it was all fluid, I couldn't even like make a fist. I'm a chef, if
Oh,
for those who don't know. I couldn't even like hold my chef knife. It was bad. So I ripped the estrogen patch off and lost 5 pounds overnight.
yeah.
And it was just all water. And then it's still gradually coming off. And I stopped the progesterone too, just to do a reset. And I just have my blood work done. So gonna like talk to the doctor again and go through the whole thing. But Adam was like, let's see your labs and see where we are and let's figure this out. So we're kind of on a, let's just explore what's going on with Trish right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love to
But
hear
I'm
that.
I'm finally back to workouts. So that felt good, you know. So I got in good workouts all week. I just worked out today. So I did take a 3-hour nap, but let's not talk about that.
Let's talk about that. That's what I need. Tell me how it was.
I was like, okay, it's my first day off in a long time. And I had this whole list of things I wanted to do, very enthusiastic, and got home from leg day and woke up 3 hours later off the sofa. I was like, oh, and then I got an alert that I had missed that this call was going on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm missing my, I wanted to be on here. So that's why I'm late to the party.
Oh, you're good. I'm so glad that you joined us. It's so nice to see you and hear these updates. And Adam Bonilla is just awesome. And I'm
He is.
so glad to hear that he's been so supportive through this. And I know Christina, who's on, she had experience with an estrogen patch as well that she was talking about. Christina, was that relatable for you?
Oh, absolutely. So I have been fighting with my hormones for a while. I hadn't had a period for 25 months, and I started on the oral progesterone and estrogen, didn't really have any results from that. So then they put me on the patch, and it took me a long time to figure out that my steady weight gain was from the patch. I was steadily gaining about 2 pounds a week, sometimes almost 3. So on average, I was gaining 10 pounds a month.
Yeah.
So in 3.5 months, I gained 35 pounds. And around the 2.5 month mark, I'm like, I don't know what is going on. My macros are the same. My workouts are the same. Everything's the same. Why am I gaining weight? Traced it back to the estrogen patch. That being said, I finally got my period. So I've had 3 now, which is awesome.
Very good.
So I decreased the strength of the estrogen patch just this about 2.5 weeks ago. Haven't really seen any weight loss, which I'm not surprised. But even during that, we did a 7-week mini cut and I didn't lose a single pound. I didn't gain anything, but I didn't lose anything. And that to me is just telling me that my body's not ready yet. My body needs to hang on to this excess fat for a while, until my hormones can regulate. And I actually started working with a new homeopathic doctor because I know there's something causing this and I can't figure out what it is. And I just got all my results back, which I'm super excited about. This person's amazing. But we figured out that I have a pretty significant mineral imbalance. And we also figured out that basically she said that I'm in, how did she say it? I'm in a extreme high stress response, right now. So basically, my body is in constant flight mode. And because of that, everything's off balance. And we also found out I have some pretty significant heavy metal toxins in my body. But we can't do a heavy metal detox because right now my liver, kidneys, and adrenals are so stressed out that they wouldn't handle it. So we have to get that in a good spot, get my GI in a good spot. Our main goals right now is to get the fatigue and the GI in good health, and then we'll do a heavy metal detox. But I couldn't, it didn't hit me how stressed I am
honestly until CCTS and something clicked there. Like
That's
I
awesome.
realized how terrible my stress has been for the last probably year and a half, if not 2 years. So we've been tracing back like what traumatic events could have caused this. And we think we pinpointed it. Well, A, the pandemic, because I'm a nurse and you know, that's life. And B, my son's accident.
Yeah.
So we're doing some things to help with the stress. We're doing some yin yoga. We're doing breathing therapies. She wants me to start journaling anything that I feel might have been a traumatic event. And basically it's just a way for my body to recognize it's safe and I can relax. So it's been very eye-opening. And I'm surprised I was so ignorant as to how stressed I really was. But I think as, you know, a nurse, as a wife, as a mom, as just a woman in general, I think sometimes we're so detached from how our body really is because we just have to do it. There's just no choice.
True. I really agree with that completely. And I appreciate you sharing that. It sounds like you're getting a lot of the support you need, which is amazing because sometimes we just don't realize it. It's kind of like when you tell someone who's been drinking soda every day to stop drinking soda, and then they realize how good they feel without it. And I think just these little changes can go a long way. And when we tune into our bodies at least once and we have a breakthrough like this, you'll probably keep having more. And Manu just said she uses an app called Wild AI to track her period. And they did a webinar on hypothalamic amenorrhea. And it was eye-opening how much external environmental stress plays a role rather than just calories. And I love that. Actually, I remember reading Period Repair Manual by Dr. Laura Bryden, and she had shared that. And then you were talking to Christina about some of the things you guys are doing. And it reminded me of, and I think I mentioned this briefly one time on a call with you, but of the polyvagal system and theory.
Yep.
Yeah. So literally, I'll share my screen so you guys can see this. 1 second. I'm going to pull this. I think these two images are good. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see this? So if you're wondering, actually, let me grab my little tool here too. Okay. This is a great resource. You can get it on Amazon as well. The polyvagal flip chart, which is probably flipped for your guys' viewing, but it says that. And you want to, if you want to learn about it, then this is a great resource because it's just very easy to utilize, but it helps you to understand how to regulate. The whole goal is to self-regulate when we're in this mode. So where we tend to be is, you know, in obviously like a freeze mode, a flight or fight mode. We want to be in the safety mode, the green, right? That's the parasympathetic nervous system. This is how we want to be functioning. A lot of us are in the sympathetic, even like when we just go to work out or we put ourselves through something stressful. But these are the reason I like this chart specifically is because it shows some of the key words that you can look out for. So let's remove all of the complicated stuff, sympathetic, danger, ventral, vagal, all that, remove it. Just look at the words and identify like when you feel that arousal coming on. Because like I know what makes me feel grounded and settled. And when I start to notice I'm feeling irritable, I have to check in with myself. That's like one of my personal warning signs. Because if I don't, it will keep climbing and I'll likely start to, for me, it's shut down. So just using these things as a sign of like, what are some of the warning signs? And then this is like a very simplified version. This is like your window of tolerance. So imagine it like a window, literally. And how much can you tolerate? And when you utilize breath work or, and actually, if you look up on YouTube, polyvagal theory, breath work, there's guided activities as well. If you've experienced trauma, or maybe you've not recognized or faced your trauma, this can at least support your body in releasing a lot of it and supporting you in working through it when it comes up. So thanks for bringing that up, Christina. I just think it's great that you're taking that holistic approach.
This all makes total sense because of the trauma I've been through from the hurricane. I literally was in a fight or flight for months after. And we still have, well, there's still, I mean, it's on the news for a minute and then it's, nobody cares about the hurricane anymore, but our community is still really devastated. And there literally are mobile mental health trucks all around the town still. And that was happened in September because people are still traumatized and stuck in that. And I noticed like a lot of my blood work after was haywire, and Adam's like, what the heck is going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know. Even my cholesterol was out of the roof. And it was like, okay, I'm not sitting around eating butter, I promise, like I can't figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you shared that. It really does have an effect on our body. If you guys have also heard of like The Body Keeps the Score, that's another book that you could check out too. It's a really great introduction into how your body will store trauma and also ways you can release it. And Madeline, I saw you smirk, so I'm wondering if you have a little insight on that. Oh,
I've definitely heard of the book. I have not read it, but I've experienced it personally throughout my life. The body does keep score, and things just show up when you least expect it. And you can't really plan for these things. The body has its own body, and like with capacity, like our body will give us signs, and when we don't listen to our body, that's when things go, like that's what leads to like burnout and things. Like, I mean, everybody's body reacts different, but that's why I feel like it's like so important to like know your body and what are the signs so you could catch yourself early on and not let it get to that point where it's like, oh my God, like I'm here and it just feels horrible. But yeah, even though you don't keep the mental score, the body keeps the physical score like all the time.
Exactly. And that speaks to the conversation we had. One second.
Yeah.
That speaks to the conversation we had the other day, which you
Mhm.
guys will be able to hear probably by March. Because I've been doing interview series with our community and anyone who wants to share part of their story and things of that nature and what build more than just a body means to them. And me and Madeline got into a conversation about energy and how much of what we do is about really controlling and supporting ourselves from an energetic level. And I just love that this is something you guys are thinking about and focusing on. And like you said, too, know your own body, because a lot of the times we're told like, oh, you should be this way, or that's normal, or this isn't normal. But maybe it is for you. Maybe it isn't. And sometimes we get used to a status quo that then we expect it and we think that that's healthy, and it's not. Like sometimes we don't even realize that we're inflamed until we do something to support relief of that. Manu says, my sister's taking a workshop through compassionate inquiry by Dr. Gabermate. I always say his name wrong, I think. And it's so interesting how all these things overlap. She's using it to help treat dysautonomia, but took sessions with a student who used as a financial advisor. Basically, feel your visceral feelings and feel the emotion attached to it and how to regulate. Set your intention, identify the emotions, body sensations, and beliefs associated with the intention. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. That is really, really positive feedback. So essentially, this also speaks to the whole acknowledge, allow, and understand. So acknowledge the emotion, allow yourself to feel it and understand where it's coming from. And in this case, we're including into that the body and how the body's feeling when experiencing that emotion. Sometimes our gut tells us before our mind does. Has anyone else ever had like their stomach flipping when they're talking to someone? They're like, something's up with this person. I don't know what it's going to be yet. And then they say that one thing that offends you so much. And you're like, I knew there was something about them. Like it was going to get me. like your body sometimes just knows and recognizes the energy, it seems like. I also see Gracie said she's learning to feel the feelings, but not letting them hold value on her decisions. I like that. That's a more stoic approach, I would say, where you're like, oh, yes, there's a feeling floating by. And the stoic approach would be to like, let it pass, recognize that it exists, but not attach ourselves to it. I think this is great for just detaching from emotions in general, knowing we feel it, having ourselves feel it in our body, but also seeing like, what is this actually teaching us? Where is it coming from? It's not who we are, but it's an experience we're having. We're not depressed, we're experiencing depression. We're not anxious, we're experiencing anxiety. We're not all these things that we've been taught to identify with. We're actually experiencers of the symptoms of these things. And that can help relieve it from feeling like a judgment on ourselves. Man, we always just have like great conversations together. I freaking love this group.
I think another thing that it takes too is, I think sometimes when you're in the moment and you're just treading water basically, but you don't realize you're just treading water. Sometimes also being like, you're different. And I mean, Celeste knows this. My kids called me out on it. They're like, Mom, you're never happy anymore. You're always irritated, and feels like we can't do anything without you getting upset. And you never used to be like that. And what is wrong? And it took me a while to realize, yeah, my whole entire demeanor has changed in the last year and a half. And it was a hard reality to have my kids shout me out on it. But in a way, it was good because it allowed the conversation as to why I'm feeling this way. And it opened up a good conversation for like, you guys don't do as I ask you. And then I constantly feel like I'm yelling because you don't respect. It feels like you don't respect me enough to honor what I'm asking of you. And then it just gets me in a mood. And, I just cannot do that anymore. And then it led to the conversation of why we want you to do certain things. Why do we have you do certain chores? Because you need to be able to do these when you're an adult without prompting, without this. And it opened up a line of conversation as to not just that it has to be done, but why it has to be done. So then I was able to reflect that on myself. Like, okay, why is my mood different? What has affected this? And what do I need to change in order to get this done? And it was a real reality check. And all this stuff happened within the matter of like 3 weeks. Yeah. And so it was like, all of a sudden something just clicked, and it was like, holy cow, I am different. I have been surviving instead of thriving, and I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you were able to take that feedback from your family too, people that you trust and love and cherish, and hear them. As hard as it can be to hear that, they usually do have some good insight. And sometimes it's not presented in the nicest or best ways, but we can still hear it and then try to process it on our own, which is great that you did. And another key there that I want to point out that you mentioned was when you are struggling with the communication piece or relationships, it's important that when we're asking people to help us or support us or do something, like kids, for example, like making sure they know why that's a benefit. And I like that you were teaching them about that. That's awesome. Okay. I got a few questions for you guys, but first, I added this to the on-demand platform, and I think I'll upload it in the Facebook group too. But just so you guys know, this is a little goal setting sheet you could utilize. So you'd write what your big goal is, what the due date of the goal is, and the micro tasks associated, how much time you need. This is how you can actually structure your due dates for this. A lot of the times these things feel like big goals, big to-do lists. It's too much. So by breaking it down in this manner, you might be looking at this like, this is overwhelming. I actually made a TikTok and a bunch of comments were like, this is overwhelming. I don't understand this. I'm like, I agree. But once you do it, you will understand, So I think in this sheet, you can get a lot out of it. And then notice these two boxes down here. scheduled into calendar or reevaluated afterwards, because sometimes we just have to reevaluate our expectations, and we don't realize it until we're maybe on micro task 4 and the drawer we had delivered to our house didn't come with screws, for example, and now that pushes everything else back. Silly example, but I think it puts it in perspective because we've probably all been there. But anyway, this is a nice sheet, I think, for organizing when your head is telling you, I got to do this and I got to do that. Like, for example, if you know you're going to be going to a competition, okay, the micro tasks are what I need to pack, when I need to order that on Amazon by, and when do I need to have it in my bag, you know, or whatever it might be. Even school tasks. I used this a lot for school. It was like, week 1 was the big goal, finish week 1, right? And then here's all the associated assignments that I have to do and when they're due. And then I went in my calendar and I put discussion post. I went response to discussion post. And then I went, okay, write your assignment if you haven't yet, or collect research for the assignment. And so it's just a great way to stay organized. It's not as overwhelming as it looks. You could spend 20 minutes on this and it sets you up for success and saves you time in the long run. So I hope you guys will utilize that. I probably will just pop it into the Facebook group as well, but let me attach it for those of you on here, just because you can then just download it straight away. Send in the chat. Okay, so I just went to support my friend this evening. She does burlesque, and I've never been to a burlesque show. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what to expect. And I got a text from one of my friends, I can't go anymore. I still have to meal prep and do laundry. And I was like, okay, so I still got so-and-so coming with me. So-and-so texts me, or she goes, call me when you can. I said, what's up? And she's like, I'm not going anymore. My life has become extremely overwhelmed in the past, like 3 days. And so she set a boundary and I was proud of her. So me being anxious about going, I start calling my Liz, you got to come, or Jenna, you coming, what's going on? No one's coming, but I need to support my friend. It's very important to me. And I have a gift for her. So I showed up and then, man, I was amazed. These women were confident. They were rocking it. It was so awesome. They were empowered. They were sharing some of these female stories while they were on stage. I was like, I love it. And it got me thinking, because I don't ever think like a normal person, probably like many of you, you always go the next step and like, how am I gonna turn this into something? But I was thinking about how they looked so confident up there. And I was like, I admire that. And then I got to thinking, well, when am I most confident? I'm most confident when I'm on stage too, but I'm not dancing like that. And I'm not dressed like that, but I'm certainly confident on a stage. And so I wanted to present the question to you guys. When do you feel you're most confident? And when do you feel least confident in yourselves? You can think about it for a bit, maybe type it in the chat box or share it audibly if you'd like, but I'll put the question in the chat box in case you need it repeated.
Celeste,
Yes.
say something. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of noticed something over this last week at work. I'm a physical therapist, and usually I go with my occupational therapist or like a team. So we go and see patients together. But this time I went by myself, and just like the key thing, I guess, for me is like, it's not when, but like how, right? So like, I would like to say like slow is confidence. So like when I was going through this whole assessment with this person and talking with the family about educating them what this person might need in the future, it was just like a slow discussion and like a thorough discussion. Like I had this patient get up and go to the bed and show me how they move to kind of see what their challenging movements are, and having that conversation with the family. But so I guess like, I don't know when I'm most confident, but definitely know how I'm most confident, and that's just kind of being slow.
That's cool. I love that feedback. That even fits with what we were just talking about, like paying attention to the biofeedback. Like you feel confident when you slow it down and you're connected. That is amazing. I think that's a great way to get grounded. And when I was in jujitsu, he'd be like, you got to be like a duck. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, on the surface, you look calm and cool. Underneath, your feet are like this, right? So your heart might be beating, but you don't want your opponent to see that. And I think it's very similar. It's like this, when we do that, when we are able to produce a calm outer shell and get our bodies in a calm state, then we start to see the moves, we start to see the insight, versus if we go into a test and we're like, what was that information I wrote down on that note card? What was the thing I put on that? But if we just calm ourselves down, then it drops in, because it's actually so automatic. And if we practice from a state of calm, then we should pull it from a state of calm. That's awesome. Now, Gracie and Kat, do you guys want to expand on this shared idea? Speaking of socializing with women.
Mine's more on like the socializing side. That's always something I've just never been very confident with. And it's really in general, not just with women, but I'm very much, and it's something I've kind of, like, I wrote this in my journal the other day, actually. I feel like identified myself as an introvert that wants to be an extrovert. And I wonder if I've just, by labeling myself that way, I have kind of like stopped myself from being more confident when it comes to, like, putting myself out there and being social and stuff. Or, I mean, if I genuinely, because I feel like there are times where I genuinely do like to just be at home and doing my own thing. And I could care less if I had, more than my little handful of friends that are good friends. But there's other times I'm like, I just want to go out and do all the things, and I don't know.
Yes, totally understand that. Do you get nervous before you go out and socialize, or is it more so just like in the moment?
Oh no, I get terribly nervous. I've had like actual meltdowns. So when I lived in Phoenix, actually, I had a coworker invite me to go out to like it was like an Asian market, and it was just a couple of coworkers and like people I'm comfortable with. I'm around all the time. But before we left, I was sitting on the couch, like crying to my husband. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know how to like be around people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And were you
Something
fine?
I definitely struggle with. Yeah, I was fine and I had a good time.
Isn't that crazy? We tell ourselves these stories and it gets built up with anxiety in our head, but we have so much proof that we're okay. It's frustrating. It's like, how much more do I have to do to convince myself that
Right.
I'm fine? I'm going to pull something up here. Gracie says she thinks it has to do with not feeling feminine in general. Maybe we don't feel like we have as much in common. Interesting. Christina wants to feel confident in her femininity. Well, common theme here. What does it mean to be feminine then? Like, what are we thinking when we're saying that? And you guys don't have to like jump to a definition, but that's something I would consider if you are trying to become more comfortable with femininity. It's like, well, what does that actually look like and mean for you? Because one person's feminine energy could be very different than somebody else's. Like, you might feel really feminine when you're, I'm using a cliche, but like sweatpants, hair tied, chilling with no makeup on, or like heels, dress, lingerie underneath. Like, that's when you might feel feminine. Or you might be like, I feel most feminine when I'm nurturing someone. That's a really good feminine feeling. Or maybe you feel feminine when you're like able to hold space for a man who's coming to you with an emotional need, or when you're providing information to people and they're all listening and you're fostering these connections. Like, maybe you feel feminine then. Maybe you don't feel feminine in any of those situations. And I would say, you've got to figure out what does that actually mean? Because also you might just be holding yourself to a standard that has been portrayed by society or others. That's not necessarily a realistic 100% of the time thing. So Christina says it's to feel sexy no matter what the body image is, to feel strong emotions, happy, sad, sexual desire, etc. Interesting. The word strong before emotion stood out to me.
Can I actually add something on this
Please go
topic?
for it.
I've actually given this question so much thought because as a tomboy, like I grew up so in my masculine energy, like always playing sports, always being with the guys, and always being, I guess I don't want to say shitted on, but like shitted on by like family and like other girls because I was always with the guys and I was just so like in my energy, just having fun and stuff like that. And then like as I grew older, I really have given so much thought into this question, like what does it mean to be really in your feminine energy? And I really like a woman truly in her feminine energy just cannot be stopped and makes any man look like absolute crap. I'm sorry. I sound super biased, but like women are so powerful. And when you can tap into that power, you're unstoppable. No man will have any power over you. And I've gone through a lot of experiences in my life that have kind of made me hide my femininity, like a lot of trauma in my childhood, a lot of trauma in my teenage years, and which is what drew me to bodybuilding. Like I wanted to be strong, I wanted to look like a man. Like I didn't want to look like a man, but I wanted to look strong, that very lean cut, ripped look. Like that's what really drew me to bodybuilding. And I spent most of my life trying to get that look, hoping that it would make me feel some type of way, like hoping that it would make me stronger than any guy. And then it was when I started to do the internal work that it's just like, wow, it really is about a type of energy embodiment. Like it's not just about the look, but it's like about, strength and like embodying your energy and your power and not being afraid to show it, like it's something about embodying your truth and not being like not really caring what anybody else has to say about it. It's like it's a boldness, authentic nature to like true femininity, not this whole I don't know, they make it look kind of cute like all the time. Like it's not
Yeah.
always cute, it's not. Women are just so powerful, and it's just like it really, I don't want to sound too biased, but like it really can be whatever you want it to be. But like in my own experiences and the conclusions that I've come down through after giving this question so much thought is like women really are powerful and men aren't shit. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound biased, but that's my conclusion. Like they haven't stepped up to the plate like women really like go through the hardest things in life, like carrying a child, being so nurturing, but also like now like super like career oriented business entrepreneur. Like women are out there doing things, and it's really important to like actually own that, and not be afraid of really just giving yourself the pat on the back and not waiting for a man to do that, or just to make society make you feel like you're not enough, like you are enough. And it's when you embody that for yourself, like being in your own like feminine nature. But yeah, I hope that wasn't too biased.
No, that was beautiful. Whatever you're feeling and is on your heart to share, that was awesome. I mean, we were all nodding. We got people writing preach in there. We got some claps going. Yeah, that was beautiful. You're expressing yourself. That is exactly what you just did, which is awesome. And I think when you do that too, it's like you don't need the approval. And Christina wrote that too, like you're not needing to prove anything to someone that you're meeting your expectations because you know that you are. And when I've thought about like feminine energy, I used to think of it only with regard to the masculine and only with a relation to men. And then I realized feminine energy is embodied within ourselves and the rest can sort itself out. We all have masculine and feminine. And Gracie said something that I was like, I totally relate. You walk into a room and there's some women who get acknowledged for, oh my gosh, you just have this sexy, like like amazing, radiant person, and then you're over there and they're like, wow, what a badass, you've been lifting weights, and like, and so we just associate it differently, I think, because it does have a different energy, but we've been taught to believe that one is more masculine or feminine than the other, but both are powerful. And it's not about like who we are, it's like how we feel about who we are, and like the way that we receive, because the feminine energy is very like receptive, open, it processes before it responds generally, like it can take things in and like almost digest it, versus like I gotta fix it and I gotta figure it out, I gotta make things happen. That's awesome that we all have that. Part of our power too is that we know when to like turn that all the way on, and we are also very capable of being like, yeah, no, I can just sit back and like receive in this moment. So I would encourage you guys, like maybe identify who you see as feminine or who you see as confident in themselves, and use that as insight into like what's different about them, or character traits, or maybe belief system that might be guiding that behavior to let them feel that way. And sometimes it's a facade. You might just be catching them when they're doing something they're very confident in. Maybe they're walking in the most amazing fashion and you're like, I feel like I don't relate. Well, maybe they're just really good at fashion, and that's okay. That's their strength. And when they come into the gym, maybe that's when you're feeling more empowered and they might not feel as empowered. So everyone has those amazing things to bring to the table. And I love that deep reflection, Madeline, and everybody who's already thinking about this, like what it really means to embrace both these energies. Okay, anything else on that before I share one more thing? Okay. The only other thing I wanted to bring, there were a few, but this is the theme coming out of different conversations with people, but I'm gonna maybe save that for a post for you guys in the Facebook group maybe. But this is something I just wanted to kind of leave you guys with today, which is whatever you are working towards or you have a goal for, make sure you are ready to actually achieve it or actually receive it. So, for example, if your goal is to get a promotion, what do you need to prepare in order to receive that promotion? What do you need to have ready so when you do get the promotion, you actually feel like, yes, like, okay, now that I have it, I already know this is organized in my life and that's organized. So now how would you know? Well, you go, well, what comes with getting a promotion? Maybe it's more demand. Maybe it's the need for more time management. Maybe it's a less intensive schedule. Maybe it's more travel. So you want to identify what comes with the goals that you want, what will change in your life and what won't change. And are you prepared for those changes? A lot of the times we say, I want this, whether you're praying to God for it, or you're putting it in your journal, or you're saying it to your best friend, you're asking for something. But it's like if you go through a cafeteria line, you don't have a tray and you don't have plates, how are you going to get your food? You're not prepared to eat. So we got to make sure that we're prepared to actually receive what it is that we want. So when you're setting these goals or these intentions for yourself, ask what needs to be prepared for you to actually get it. And then it does sometimes help to ask if you're okay with things changing, what would happen if those things change and what types of things change. So just wanted to leave you guys some food for thought, since it is, the time of the year when we're all thinking of where do I want to be next year. And I think that's totally okay. I love fresh new beginnings. And with February being right around the corner too, it's a great opportunity to start thinking like what needs to be prepared in my life. Christina says, live the lifestyle before the promotion is received. This helps you assess if you're ready or not. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Just like doing a pre-prep, or just like when like, okay, I want a relationship with somebody. Well, am I actually ready to give up these parts of my schedule? Do I want to have these types of conversations? Am I mentally prepared for that? Because otherwise it could be a little shocking. Trish is like, no, not ready. And here comes the doggy. Oh, but you guys are so great. I always just love these conversations. This is something where I feel really present and grounded and at ease. So I appreciate all of you showing up and coming and sharing your thoughts and always surprising me. You guys are just amazing. So I'll put the next date in the Facebook group right away. And then if you guys have any topics you want covered, let me know. Oh, one other housekeeping alert. If you have anything you want a resource made on or video made on for the on-demand platform or the Facebook group or anything like that, reach out to me, because then I can start compiling this list and making it for you guys or putting those things together. But appreciate you all. This community is just amazing. And if you need anything, just reach out.
Thanks, Celeste.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks
You're
all.
welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Christina. Bye.